Elon Musk had another tough weekend. The stock, as you can see, down below 300 today. It looks like he might be breaking up with Grimes, and also he lost two of his important chip engineers, but he still refuses to get some help from an old friend of his. We're going to talk about that. But on the other hand, his product, the Model 3, has been doing amazing, like the opposite of how he was doing. Obviously, there is still a fallout from his New York interview and his tweet a couple of weeks ago now. Yeah, it's back in the day, remember that? Back in July, really. Also, you'll never guess who the Arabian fund might be cheating on Elon with. Another electric car company. They might be taking over actually a different electric car company. Very interesting news. I haven't seen that much reporting on it, or at least it was kind of down there in my news feed, but that is an interesting development. So, and of course, comments of the day and a few other stories. So we're going to talk about it all coming up next. Welcome to the show, especially those of you who are watching me live right now on Patreon. Thank you so much for contributing. And if this is your first time here, and if you're interested in, staying up to date on everything that's going on in the world of electric cars, well, you came to the right place. Just go ahead and click the subscribe button down there so you don't miss anything moving forward. All right, this is a wild ride, and as you can see, the stock was up on the news of the takeover, not takeover, to go in private, well, kind of takeover, I guess, and then it's kind of fell below 300. Now, one of the analysts downgraded the stock from like $330 or something like that to $180 based on this whole New York Times interview and the secured funding that may not be secured. And I understand all of this is bad, okay? But I don't see how you downgrade it all the way for, almost 40% below what it was before the announcement, right? Like, I don't see how that changes everything else. The product is doing well, At worst, what can happen? I mean, Elon will go to jail for 6 months, by the way, which may not be that great of bad of an idea. I think at this point he'll get some rest. He won't be able to tweet. Actually, I think the stock should go up on that news, if you ask me. But I'm just saying, what else is that the analyst is basing it on to drop the stock like this? Anyway, I'm not a stock market expert. As a matter of fact, I don't think that is a lot of times an indication. I cover it just because it does matter for overall standing, but I just don't get it. But and so it looks like Elon and Grimes unfriended each other on Twitter and Instagram. Does he do everything on Twitter? Did he break up with his girlfriend on Twitter? Now, I'm not saying they're breaking up, but I'm just saying that's happening. He lost two chip engineers. They went to another company, and as you know, the Tesla is making their own self-driving chip, which is a big deal. And yeah, but here's a big story that I'm kind of a little bit sad about. Arianna Huffington, right, the editor-in-chief, whatever her position is, of Huffington Post. This is her Twitter page. She wrote an open letter to Elon, and I have to say it's very nice. It looks like they're friends in real life, or at least good acquaintances. And she really starts off this letter by saying that, as much as she loves the innovator and an amazing sort of businessman that he is, she most appreciates the fact that every time they see each other, he whips out his wallet and shows a picture of his kids and talks about his family. So it really looks like they're friends, and it looks like she wishes him well, and she sees a person through the businessman and Twitter account. And now she was essentially saying that, listen, you're kind of working against yourself. Let me give you a few quotes that she said. So she said, "You are demonstrating a wildly outdated, anti-scientific, and horribly inefficient way of using human energy." She's trying to say that. And I think she gives an example that in the research that after working for 10 to 14 hours straight, a human being literally becomes like a same sort of behavior as a drunk person, or very close to being a drunk person. And the more you do it, so and that's inefficient. There's another quote that she has. She says, "There is no way you can connect with your amazing vision and creativity when you don't give yourself time to reconnect, not just with those who you love, but also with yourself and your wisdom." Another great advice, by the way, this goes to all of us. I mean, I have to say that I sometimes get caught in working too much, and just a simple reset makes me much more productive than working myself into the ground and through the night or whatever. I mean, I know a lot of you guys are watching are hardworking people, and you do that once in a while, and you probably know firsthand. So this is great advice for anybody who is a hard worker. And there's another one. She says, apply that same passion for science, not just to your products, but to yourself. People are not machines, and this is building on the fact that, you know, it's science to say that when you're stressed out and you work so much and all you do is work, you become less efficient. And to be honest, you think about it, all of these issues, all of these problems that are outshining the success that Tesla is having with the Model 3, with the Roadster, with the semi-truck and everything else, all of them are being outshined by one tweet. Right, by this erratic behavior that he's been basically. If he would just not tweet, think about what we would be talking about. We would be talking about, I have a couple of stories here about the actual products, but you know, they're buried because this is the leading story. This is where Tesla might make it or break it, right? Now, you guys can read the letter. It's on her health page. But his response was definitely disappointing. So she posted this. I'm gonna go full page for you guys. She said, "Dear Elon, please change the way you work to be more in line with the science around how humans are more efficient. You need it. Tesla needs it, and the world needs it." And his response was, "Ford and Tesla are the only two American car companies to avoid bankruptcy. I just got home from the factory." This tweet is at 2:30 a.m. "You think this is an option? It is not." Boy, this is disappointing, especially from him. Listen, I think he's missing the whole point of her saying that, you know, you can be more efficient if you work less and give more time to your family and friends and so forth. And his reply essentially tells me that he's not hearing her. He thinks that working into 230 is what he needs to be doing to make this car company successful. By the way, I don't think there are a lot of people are talking about it, but as you know, there are rumors, and I think there are confirmed rumors that the board of directors is looking for the number 2 who can take some of the number 1 responsibilities from him and, you know, delegate. As you can probably know, he doesn't delegate much stuff. He's really in there himself, and you know, I understand he's a control freak, much like Steve Jobs and many other you know, people who made their companies great. But I mean, if he craps out, right, everybody loses. Everybody loses. So that's very unfortunate. All right, let's talk about a few other interesting news, and especially the Saudi Arabian fund that might not be funding Tesla, but funding some other company. Let's talk about it. But before that, of course, I want to remind you guys that this show and this channel is sponsored by Evanex, the aftermarket accessories for Tesla. There is a discount code in the description of this video, so you can save yourselves a few bucks. All right, so Lucid Air, remember that company? They were a startup. I did a story about them about a year ago on Monterey Car Week, which is actually this week, so literally a year ago. And they were a startup that had some Tesla people in there. This was my report from then. They produced a relatively good-looking car. I love the car inside. I think this is my most favorite, the interior of the car, the new car. And then they kind of little by little, they kind of disappeared because of lack of funding. Well, guess what? The Saudi Arabian fund, now that they are realizing that they may not be able to take a full control over Tesla, or just with all the hype, it looks like they're talking to Lucid Motors about taking them over in what it's being reported as $1 billion deal, where they'll give them $500 million now, and then throughout the benchmark, hitting the benchmarks and milestones, they're gonna give them the rest, and they will be, believe they will control the voting rights on that board. So it is, if it's happening. Now, I reached out to my contact at Lucid, and they said that, hey, listen, you know, we don't comment on our fundraising activities, which is, you know, was what I expected. But this would be interesting. This would be definitely exciting. This would give this company a second life, and I really think they deserve it. Again, not excited where the money is coming from, but you know, I know there's another side of that story, and it does look like if that fund is really trying to invest into green energy, then Yeah, well, we'll see. Definitely, I'll do follow up once there's more information. But this is very interesting, and you can watch this interview and the whole segment on my channel. Just search my library, and I'll try to put it in the description of this video. All right. Before we move any further, I just wanted to issue a correction in my segment that I did about Elon's interview with New York Times. I mentioned that he admitted to drug use, which is not entirely true, really. He admitted to ambient use, and there are also some reports that he has been using recreational drugs close to him, and I think even one board member mentioned that. But he didn't flat out and said it. I kind of assumed that because this article was, I feel like, a collaboration between him and New York Times, that anything that was said in there was kind of a blast by him and his PR team. But essentially, he never came out and said it. So I just wanted to issue correction there. I just want to be clear on that, because a few of you guys mentioned that in your comments, and I definitely want to apologize for me, twisting the facts there accidentally. So, all right, let's move on to the next story. Marques Brownlee, the guy who has been very close to Elon Musk and Tesla, and he won the Love Day contest, right? So he had a sit-down interview with Elon, which is pretty rare. And yeah, you know, I know they're buddies, and I know this is a very friendly interview and everything, but man, you get to sit down with one of the most amazing people in the world, and you ask him this softball questions that really are not even real questions, and of course Elon gave him kind of like same uninteresting answers, really, and I was going to use another term, but let me put it, this was a very friendly, pre-arranged interview. I guess they're also saying there will be a factory tour as well, video coming up, but my God, the questions were just, you know, there's so many things going on with the company, you know, and this is just, there are a couple of things that really I've noticed in the interview that were mildly interesting. Elon said that they can make a $25,000 car in about 3 years. I think that's another statement that he probably shouldn't have said, though it is exciting. But listen, man, you promised $35,000 car. You're not there yet, you know, get there first and then promise the next price drop. Probably not good timing right now, and you're only putting more pressure on yourself. It's gonna make headlines. So exciting, but I think he should have just not say anything at all. And another thing, he mentioned that in kind of an interesting comment, that maybe the Roadster will come with mirrors, because it has to, that you can actually take them off. And let's say maybe if you're going on a racetrack where it's not required by law, or maybe some states or some countries will have laws that will allow that by then, you know, you can just remove them and there will be little cameras there. And by the way, Audi e-tron, right, is also kind of going for that. Not the removable mirrors, but having a version with just the cameras. So that was the only two things that I kind of got out of the interview. Again, very blah, very disappointing. But I know some of you guys are huge fans of this guy, and I'm not. I think he's all right. But yeah. So, but don't give me comments how I'm, you know. Yeah, I'm telling you, the interview was very bland, and it's a shame that he got all his time with an amazing person and asked no real questions. Now, the other interview that's going to be about Tesla is this one, Jay Leno's Garage. As a matter of fact, here's a quick preview. They're running this Thursday on his show. I think it's on CNBC. He will be featuring the Roadster. There will be some new videos and even maybe some information. Franz is going to be presenting the car. It's kind of weird, right? Marques is talking to Elon, but Jay Leno can't score that same interview. He's going with Franz. Franz is actually a great showman as well, but as a matter of fact, he might actually take that role over maybe from Elon a little bit here and there. I wouldn't mind. And so anyway, so this is a preview. Definitely let's check it out. There might be some new information there, but maybe not. Definitely some new images is what it seems like it's going to be the case here. So we'll keep our eyes on that. And by the way, look, I met Jay Leno a while back. Yeah, that is me. And by the way, this is what happens to my eyebrows when they don't get, you know, taken care of. So, but yeah, this was like 20 years ago. I might see Jay again because I'm going to Monterey Car Week this week, and he's usually there in the Pebble Beach Auto Week. So, and I got my press pass, so I will probably see him around. I don't think I'm going to interview him, but definitely we'll see him around and maybe say hi. So that's kind of cool. But yeah, this is a good old days. Good old, look at that, glasses and stuff. All right, let's just move on. All right, so it's time to thank some of my Patreons. My Tesla Dream joined as a Patreon. Unfortunately, I don't know your name, but nevertheless, thank you so much. This is important to me, you guys supporting my show. Now that I lost my day job and I'm just going with this full time, thank you so much. Also, Adam Owen also became a Patreon. At that level, he can watch me live. And of course, I do and by the way, here's the link, patreon.com/E4Electric. You can watch me live. I do this segment called the extra mile right here. So once I get off the air for the main segment for YouTube, I talk a little bit of my personal life and my move to Sacramento and other things and my plans for the next couple of weeks, and some announcements specifically and exclusively for my Patreons, who I really appreciate. So thank you for joining, and let's move on to the comment of the day. I have two of them, and I think they're extremely important. Let's start with first one, and this comes from 38 pills a day. He says, how do I get nice eyebrows? I just mentioned them. Okay, this does not happen by accident, as you can see from the picture that I just showed you. And let me just bring that mess up just one more time right here. Okay, now this is what happens when I don't do anything about the unibrow, right? All right, so I think I'm allergic to that. Yeah, so yeah, every few weeks now and then you go and take care. As a matter of fact, my longest relationship with a woman in my whole entire life that lasted for 15 years and just ended because I moved to Sacramento was with my eyebrow, the lady who does my eyebrows. She's awesome, but yeah, it's just unfortunately I had to move on. I'm gonna try a new one around here. Scared of someone new, but yeah, so that's how it's done. And the second question is about one of the fuggliest car around, which I always did not like, not just because of the look, but also because of the horrible range. But they were one of the first ones to come out and do it when there was no requirements or rewards or rebates and so forth. Since then, they upgraded this, and even next year is going to be even better, and it's become one of the most sold cars, if not actually the most sold electric car in the world. And so I'm excited for them now, but I definitely hated the way it looked for many different reasons. But look, there's an interesting perspective that James Paul offered in the comment section that might actually make me never look at this car in such a dark light again. He says, "Hi Alex, I drive a first generation Nissan Leaf, the one you like to make fun of all the time. I prefer to think of it as being so ugly it's cute, like a funny looking puppy that makes you smile." I'm thinking like, oh my god, what a great way to look at it, right? James, I think I will never look at this car in such a light again. Maybe you're right, it's so ugly it's cute. And again, this is kind of the beginning of all of our roots, right? So yeah, I mean, I still don't get me wrong, pathetic range, you probably know that yourself, right? But yeah, all right, listen, I love it. I love this type of comments, so I appreciate that. All right, let's gear up for the extra mile for my Patreons. For those of you who are watching me on YouTube, I was going to say Facebook, YouTube, thank you so much. Of course, I will see you tomorrow, but I will be in the Monterey Car Week, so I might do some pre-recorded segments. Other than that, see you next time, and remember to stay charged.